2023 has come to a close, and like every year, we make a list of some of the best, biggest, most well-received games for each console. Today, we're talking about some of the best 2023 games on Xbox Series X and S. Now, it was very hard to make this list. There's way more than 10 games. We tried to cram it down to 10, but of course, you might disagree, so let us know in the comments some of your picks for some of the best games released on Xbox from 2023. Anyway, spiel over. Let's get started off with number 10. Let's start off with a big one. Forza Motorsport, released this year and kind of overhauled the whole mainline Forza Motorsport thing. This one really kind of exists as a platform, a place for the main, more enthusiast Forza games to move forward with. When it launched, the content offering was a little bit light in terms of modes and stuff, but you have everything you basically need. Your cars, your very basic career mode, your online modes, and a lot of attention to detail to, of course, the cars themselves, but also the driving mechanics. Forza is still a really great driving simulator. I don't know if this is necessarily the best mainline Forza game yet, but it's got a good foundation at least. The way I look at it, Microsoft and Xbox are going for kind of like a flight simulator type platform for the Forza games, and that's probably gonna work long term. We're gonna have to wait and see where it goes, but if you're just looking to jump into something and start racing high-end gorgeous cars, this is still the game. It always really is. Next, over at number 9, our first third-party multi-platform game is Resident Evil 4: The Remake. This one was a big deal because it was a bit of a risk. The original Resident Evil 4 is absolutely beloved, but it's so hard to explain what makes it feel so special and strange and unique. The developers who remade the game from the ground up could have missed some of that spark, but thankfully they didn't. This is a faithful reimagining, retelling of the original Resident Evil 4 that doesn't lose sight of what makes it cool and weird and important, but also makes it a little bit more detailed, a little bit more scary, and adds some interesting insight and context to some of the characters we've loved for so long, like Leon, Ashley, Louise in particular. And frankly, it's just fun as hell to play. Like any good Resident Evil game worth its salt, it is replayable. The game begs to be replayed thanks to a lot of cool unlockables and options and things you get. Plus, with the new DLC, the Ada Wong-centered Separate Ways DLC they added in, this game really is just the full package. We love Resident Evil here at gameranx, so it's a no-brainer for us. Next, over at number 8, we have Hogwarts Legacy. This game was like one of the best-selling games of the year, and it seems like people who are into Harry Potter have really been digging this one. If you are into Harry Potter, the books or the movies, and you're looking for a big, somewhat standard, but still like just traditional open-world adventure game where you can live the Hogwarts life, this is it. You've got the castle, you've got the surrounding areas, you got some pretty cool combat, and some interesting spins on the lore with the story. They try to do something a little different here. Like I said, if you're a Harry Potter fan, this one will probably make you happy. Next, over at number 7, we have Diablo 4. Now, we recently included this on our best PC games list of 2023, and Falcon had a lot to say with, how the game still has some growing pains, some monetization issues, some Activision Blizzard things that Activision Blizzard tends to do that we don't like. But we think, bottom line, like when we played through this whole thing at launch, the actual foundation, the core of this game is pretty awesome. It's a fun Diablo game, it's a good adventure, it's got your character builds that you want, it's got the depth, you can play it with friends, and they gave you a surprisingly big open world to grind through. People have been playing this over and over again. Activision Blizzard is adding stuff, there is an expansion announced, and we're curious to see where it goes. They definitely need to fix some things, but we can't deny that we had some fun playing through Diablo 4. Next, over at number 6, we have Alan Wake 2. If you like good single-player, narrative-based action-adventure or survival horror games, Alan Wake 2 is definitely for you. You can get into it, kind of, if you didn't play the first one, but it certainly helps. What Remedy has done here is essentially taken everything they've learned from the early Max Payne games to, of course, Alan Wake 1, but also really Quantum Break, which was an Xbox exclusive, and more recently Control, and really took all the best elements of all these things and made Alan Wake 2, a really incredible adventure with a lot going on, some survival horror gameplay that is admittedly simple, it's not Resident Evil, but it is still satisfying. But really, it's the story, the characters, the world building, the atmosphere, the way they tell the story and use different mediums and really experiment makes it kind of a single-player adventure unlike any other you've seen. We mean that. We still really wish the developers put out a physical version. It sucks that this is like a digital-only game. Hopefully that changes in the future, but either way, Alan Wake 2 is worth playing. It's a really awesome adventure. It's scary, it's trippy, it's funny, it's entertaining, it's bizarre, and we can't recommend it enough. Next, over at number 5, we have Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now, at launch, this game didn't have the best performance. Things have somewhat been fixed, but the actual base game itself is a really fun Star Wars adventure. If you ask me, Star Wars fans in the video game department have been eating pretty good the past couple of years, and after Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, this one, Survivor, really kind of amps everything up. This is a bigger, better sequel in all the best ways. There's more to do. There's a big hub world with a bunch of stuff to engage in. All the planets you explore feel bigger, and there's a ton of options and variety to customizing your cal and how you fight. You can fight with a lightsaber. You can fight with 2 lightsabers. You can fight with a crossguard saber. You can fight with a saber and a blaster. There's so much Star Wars fantasy wish fulfillment here. It made us really happy, but thankfully it also just tells a compelling and cool story. We're really excited to see where this goes next. If they can like really stick the landing with a 3rd game and just make a cool Star Wars game trilogy, we'd love to see it. Respawn really gets Star Wars in our opinion, and we'd love to see them maybe eventually take on like a new Dark Forces game or Shadows of the Empire. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but what I'm trying to say is Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a fun, good Star Wars video game adventure. Cut and dry. Just good old-fashioned Star Wars stuff. Next, over at number 4, we have a really awesome one. It's Hi-Fi Rush. This is a Tango Gameworks game, who most recently made like Ghostwire Tokyo. They're known for The Evil Within. Then they surprise dropped this game out of nowhere in 2023. This is an action combat game, kind of combat like something like a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta or what have you, but it's also a rhythm-based game. So your strikes, you're incentivized to time them to the beat for bonuses, and the whole game thrives and bounces and jumps to music. Not only is that gameplay just a really cool and fun and addictive idea for like a combat adventure game, but the music itself is also just awesome. There's licensed tracks that are great. There's just cool music in here. The boss battles are some of the best we've seen this year. I'd say next to Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush has some of the coolest bosses of 2023, with how you fight them, to the music, to just the game itself having a really good art style. It's got some Japanese anime influences, it's got some Western animation, some cartoon influences, but it really is its own special thing. If you love music, if you love funky, cool stuff like the Jet Set games, or if you love Scott Pilgrim comics, like this really is special. Hi-Fi Rush, like no doubt, is one of our favorite PC, Xbox exclusive games of the year. Now down at number 3, we have Remnant 2. Remnant 2 is an addictive, fun, awesome time. If you like the original Remnant from the Ashes, they essentially blew out that concept and made a new, really fun, endlessly playable third-person shooter. You can play it with friends, there's tons of loot, tons of stuff to blast, really interesting boss battles and level layouts that are randomly presented to you. The story ain't much in our opinion, but that doesn't matter. It's about the blast and it's about the gameplay. Ramp up that difficulty, jump in with a friend. You will have an awesome time in Remnant 2. And Remnant from the Ashes, the original game, had such long life with the developers supporting it, adding new content to it. We're excited to see where Remnant 2 goes. To be honest, like we made a before you buy video, but we haven't talked about it enough in top 10 lists this year. For some people, this was the game that hooked them the most this year, so we had to give it a shout out. Remnant 2 is an awesome shooter. Now down at number 2, we have Starfield, Bethesda's next big game, their first new IP that's a thing that they've made that isn't just the next Fallout or the next Elder Scrolls. This space adventure game is totally new for them, but it still feels familiar. It feels like a Bethesda game. Some people are happy to hear that, some people are not happy about that. Starfield is a big adventure that has a lot of cool stuff going for it, but also has plenty of significant flaws. I'll say it like I said it in my Before You Buy video, I like Starfield. I don't love Starfield. But there's no denying that it has left a big impression on some people. There's a lot of game here, a lot of interesting characters, a lot of interesting factions. I think the faction stuff is probably like one of the best aspects of this game. The shipbuilding is an absolute blast. It is so cool to have your own custom ship. And you know, it's debatable for some people, but you know, we thought the story went to some interesting places after a while. If you're just looking for a big old Bethesda style adventure, but something different, you know, now in space, Starfield is worth considering. Now, down at number 1, of course, we have one of our favorite games of the year, the massive RPG Baldur's Gate 3. It squeaked in at the last minute and released for Xbox Series X and S this year, and even though there are some glitches and some things to be worked out, this is an incredible RPG that you can play alone or with a friend, and it is just massive. There's turn-based combat that is really tight and really challenging and thought-provoking, but it's all the other stuff. It's the RPG elements. It's the building your character, actually genuinely role-playing, adventuring around, having great, compelling, and memorable party members. Like if you love party members from, say, BioWare games like Mass Effect or anything like that, you will really like what Baldur's Gate 3 has going on. It's all the decisions you make, the dialogue options, all that RPG stuff that makes Baldur's Gate 3 feel so special. There's so much crammed into this game. From where the story can branch to the writing, to everything, it is a monumental achievement. It is a really, really impressive RPG. So long story short, that's why we're putting it at number 1. But like I said, there are way too many games to cram into a top 10 list. So we got a couple of bonus games we wanted to mention, including Mortal Kombat 1, which, you know, we've given Street Fighter 6 some love on some other videos, so we figured we'd mention Mortal Kombat 1. We're not the biggest fighting game people here at gameranx, but we casually love them, and Mortal Kombat 1 was a ton of fun. It had a wacky story, and it's been adding some really cool new characters. Also, Minecraft Legends was a really fun kind of active RTS spin on Minecraft. Don't miss it, especially if maybe you have a younger family member that loves Minecraft. And Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. You know, CD Projekt Red finally fixed Cyberpunk completely, and the expansion this year is great. Also, Cocoon. If you're looking for something a little bit more chill, really fun, abstract puzzle game, people have been really digging this one. But like we said, those are some of the best games from 2023 released on Xbox Series X and S. The games that have made the biggest splash, the games that had the most conversation, you know, stuff like that. But let us know in the comments if you got your own top 10 or your own top 5 list of games released on Xbox. What did you play on your console this year? Let us know. And if you like this video and you like talking games with us, all you got to do is click the like button. We really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing, maybe hitting that notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.